Thank you guys for joining us, and thank you to Twitch. We have a couple folks who are tuning in there. I'm not sure if we're doing it interchangeably, but if you're on there as well, hello. Yeah, I think everything's loaded. Everything's good. You good on your side?
Yeah.
Johnny?
Mm-hmm.
Do you prefer like Jonathan, John, Johnny?
All the above, whatever. I guess whatever rolls off the tongue easiest. Yeah.
Sweet. We're gonna be cycling through.
There we go.
But yeah, for the more formal introduction, I guess, we're joined by the absolutely wonderful Jonathan Jennings at 𝗕𝗥𝗘𝗦𝗧𝗢. 𝗕𝗥𝗘𝗢𝗧𝗢, yes, that is correct. He is a gameplay engineer, which is a very cool, very fancy title that I will be making him explain later because I don't know how coding works. But yeah, he's done a ton of stuff. If you've checked out his LinkedIn prior in one of our things, he's got a podcast, he writes, he does a whole ton of stuff. He codes, he does it all. So if you want to give us a little bit more of a lowdown of what you do, John, sure. I'd be super happy to hear it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So hi, everybody. My name is Jonathan Jennings. I'm a software engineer and gameplay programmer currently at 𝗕𝗥𝗘𝗦𝗧𝗢. I've been programming games for the past 14 years, which I'm a dinosaur and I'm kind of like coming to grips with the fact I'm a dinosaur. But it's wild. Like I even thinking of like this interview, I remember when I was first getting into the industry and like people would say they worked on games for like over 5 years, and I'd go, "Whoa, you're like a sensei! This is crazy." And so to like have far surpassed that point, it's just kind of crazy at this point in my life. But yeah, I've been working on games and applications for the past 14 years. Worked on mobile games for a while. I've worked on like PC games. I've worked on and for the past decade, I've been working primarily on VR.
Wow.
Yeah, I guess high level that's me, but yeah, love to write, love to create, love to teach people about creating. Yeah.
Yeah, is the project you're working on like currently like VR based then?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Exciting.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And how do you like that versus like more traditional coding? I've heard it's very different.
I love working in VR. Like it is so the code itself is the same. I think what I love about VR is it's just a much more intimate medium. Like I worked on a VR game like several years ago called 𝗕𝗥𝗘𝗦𝗧𝗢. Like that was like my indie baby. And I remember like you in 𝗕𝗥𝗘𝗢𝗧𝗢, like you have a laser sword, you could swing the sword at enemies, and I was thinking while I was working on it, like I want to make the sword mechanics easy enough that if my grandma, who doesn't play video games at all, if she chose to play video games, she could grab a controller, swing this sword, and be able to slice an enemy in half, an alien in half.
Okay.
And so I think it's a lot of thinking about how people are actually like exist in a space, how they like move their hands around, like how are you asking them to like move their head to like look and track things in the environment. It's just like you really have to take people's bodies into account in VR, and that's one of my favorite things about it. It's like really important. Like even optimization is really important because like if our frame rate dips, we can make people sick, and like it. So I just love the intimacy of that.
Okay, yeah, I think that's probably why a lot of people find it more difficult is that like you have to be so precise with things, or things can like directly affect you, like you said, a little bit more heavily than like, oh, this is laggy versus like, oh, now I'm seasick, I'm going to throw up. Yeah, that's still super cool. I know we have a few VR fans in the chat who will be very excited to hear more about that. And can you share about like what project you guys are currently working on at all, or is it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I'm currently like at 𝗕𝗥𝗘𝗦𝗧𝗢, we're working on a project called Dimensional Double Shift. It's out now. It's free to play. If anybody does have a VR headset and wants to play, it's on the MetaQuest store. It's also on like Android XR. It's on the Pico headset. We try to be on every headset.
Wow.
So, but it's a multiplayer hand tracking VR experience, and so we did a lot to figure out how to make hand tracking feel good, because like you're actually using your hand, you're not grabbing controllers, and that is a lot of VR experiences. And yeah, we just launched our latest dimensions for Orlando, I think about a month and a half ago, and people seem to really enjoy it. But yeah.
Congratulations. That's really exciting.
Mm-hmm.
How was optimizing for like all these different headsets, or is it kind of the same across everything?
It is. It's a challenge. We have like an expert who like his job is to like figure out how we port to different headsets. And so his job, I loved like just hearing him riff about things. And sometimes like, he had to make the game work on the Apple Vision Pro, and like hearing about how that was a challenge was wild. And so like, it is definitely a labor of love to be able to get it on all the different platforms. But as far as optimizing, we try to like, for us, the MetaQuest 2 is like the weakest headset that we try to support, I think. Or it might be MetaQuest Pro, one of those. And so we like basically like we have our QA team go in, they put on like the weakest headset and then let us know how it performs. And we have like benchmarks for like this should run at least this well. And like we also can look at our data and see like, this much of our audience uses this headset, this much of our audience uses this headset. So I think that helps us like target and prioritize which group we should serve the most.
Nice.
Yeah, what those numbers look like.
Okay. Yeah, I was curious. I didn't know, like, I imagine it's a lot like consoles where it's like they have different like capabilities, obviously, kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know? So I was super curious about that. Very interesting. Okay. Do you have a preferred headset that you like recommend to people?
Oh man. Well, like if you just want to try VR, I feel like a MetaQuest 2 is still pretty solid and it's cheaper. Like, I'm going to go for what's cheaper. And especially if you're not crazy about VR, then like, why blow a bag?
Valid,
you might, right? But I do love the MetaQuest 3. I have one like for personal use. And like, I think that's the best, like, we'd say tetherless or wireless headset that you don't have to like plug into a PC at the moment. Valve is coming out with a new headset pretty soon. So we are all very excited to see what that looks like and how people receive it. But Steam, I feel like Valve releases anything and people show up. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing that quote unquote console thing too. I know people are pretty hyped about. So yeah, I am interested. I can't remember the name of their VR, but I do remember seeing it because we have like a diehard Steam Deck, I think it was called, or something, fan who really wanted to see it come. So that'll be exciting for you guys. And for those of you who are joining in just now, Stacey did drop a link to Dimensional Double Shift, and we do encourage you play it if you don't get VR sick, seasick, car sick, you know what I mean. But yes, please check it out. It is free, and we love supporting game devs and all of that jazz, so please do. On the topic of things that you've done outside of this current Alchemy Lab stuff, you do a little bit of everything. Do you want to talk about some of your other side projects? Sure. Yeah, I think probably like the group I'm like most aligned with is like Black in Gaming, and so Black in Gaming is all about like creating, amplifying and celebrating, highlighting Black people who work like in the game industry. Like we make up a very tiny % of the industry. I think like the highest I've ever heard is 5%, and I think the lowest is 3%. And so that's about it. Yeah. And so we're like in there, but like with that said, like, there are so many Black people throughout history who have had huge contributions to game industry. Jerry Lawson, who he was basically the inventor of the original cartridge. He was he's a member, like a pioneer in the game industry. One of my personal idols, Tony Barnes. He's worked on every game you can imagine. Like I grew up with an old Sega game called Jungle Strike he made. He worked on like the Star Wars games. He worked on Midnight Club. I think he worked on Red Dead Redemption. And he's like an indie developer now. He works on games with his sons. Like he's been working on games for 40 to 50 years. And so Tony's a legend. There's Lisa T. Montgomery. She worked at Double Fine for a while. She worked on like Psychonauts, like the Tiger Woods PGA Tour games. There's like so many, and I'm overlooking so many. Like there's like what is a lot of you Nelson's Strange Scaffold. Anyway, our goal is to like highlight and celebrate all the creative Black developers across the industry, all the wonderful things that they're doing, and also create opportunities so that we can hopefully raise that number above 5%. And so
yeah, like that's like my big passion. That's like where I spend a lot of my time as far as like volunteer efforts in the game industry.
Nice.
Not as popular on it now, but like I used to write a lot on Quora, which is like a question and answer website.
Wow. Yeah,
very,
blast from the past, eh?
yeah, absolutely. And so I used to like write articles on Quora all the time. I loved answering people's questions, especially about programming, because like I remember, I think I got in there when I was only 2 years in. And at first I was like, do I like know enough to like answer these people's questions? I thought I was going to like start answering questions and the real game dev police were going to come out and go, Jonathan 𝗕𝗥𝗘𝗦𝗧, why did you?
You're a fake. Yeah.
Yeah, you're a phony. I'm sorry. Yeah. I totally thought it was going to happen. But to my surprise, like people seem to really like the insight I gave. And I think on Quora, I have like over 4 million reads on like different questions I've answered. Some of like my answers have like tens of thousands of views. Some of them have like over 100,000. So like, you know, I love to write. I love helping people learn. I have been on podcasts. It's fun to talk about games. I feel like this is my obsession. Like, I think like I get paid to be obsessed about games, and like I almost feel like I finesse the industry. Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah. It's like, you guys, I just want to be here, and you're gonna give me a check. Oh, I'm great. Yeah.
You mean we're getting paid for this?
Right. Yeah.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah. I help people with like portfolio reviews, resume reviews. I like to help people. Like this was my dream. Like, and this was like the dream thing for me to do, and I did it. Like I like to tell people all the time, like when I worked on my very first game and saw my name in the credits, like if that was the end of my career, I could have said at like 22, I had already done my dream thing. And like, so like to be like 14 years later and like here I am still doing stuff, still see my name in credits. I'm working at companies I could have never dreamed about working with. Like I feel super blessed, super fortunate. And so I almost feel like it's my responsibility to give back, because it's like, man, like if I could do it, then any of us could do it. So yeah.
That's so cool. It's always like really heartwarming to see like people so passionate about what they're doing still. And then like I do find kind of like what you said, like a lot of people like almost like feel like an unbearable need to like, oh, I have to give back to the community who, you know, whatever. But I think that makes a strong space for sure. I think it makes a lot of altruistic people, I think is the best way to put it. And if you don't mind me asking, how have you found being a Black man in gaming from 14 years ago to now? Like obviously the space has shifted a lot.
It has. It's wild. It's wild even hearing like, because there's the Black game developers that preceded me, and like hearing them talk about like going to GDC and maybe seeing one other Black person at the whole conference. That's like, couldn't imagine. That said, like I've been the only Black person to work at several game studios. I think when I was first entered the industry, like I will always remember walking into an office like for a junior programming interview, and the secretary asked me like if I was basically a UPS guy dropping off a package, and not if I was like, it wasn't fun. Not taking me seriously as like a software engineer. And and so then I interviewed. I think the interview went pretty well, but like I think just lots of moments like that, like where people would hear I'm a programmer, and like the response, I wrote an essay in a book a while ago called Black Unicorn, and I remember telling my girlfriend at the time, I feel like the response I got when I first entered game studios was like, whoa, look at you, you're like a Black programmer. Or I got, oh, look at you, you think you're a programmer. And that was kind of always hard to like, either like I feel like a unicorn, like, whoa, in the wild, or like, you don't belong here, but I guess we'll do this because we have to, right? And so just like learning to grapple with that. And I think that's the importance of Black in gaming. Like it's creating community and spaces for us to like connect and like know that each other are here, and, you know, amplify that message. Because I think it can be really lonely to like only be the only Black person. And I'd go home and I couldn't tell like my family about like the stuff I would like. They didn't have experience in tech careers. They didn't like, you know, they don't know what it's like to work in a game studio. So
it's a niche. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
That's
has its
crazy.
challenges, but compared to now, like it's awesome. Like last year at GDC, we had a Black and Gaming Fest. This was our third one.
No
And
way.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, super proud of it. Aria, our community lead at Black and Gaming, she like led the organization of it. She did a phenomenal job.
Wow.
And GDC in general, the attendance was down for the event, but like for us, like this was the most attendance we had at our like Black and Gaming Fest, and we had over 800 attendees, which was like fantastic.
Wow. Yeah.
For us. So yeah, so like we're doing what we can with what we got. Yeah,
That's good. I mean, that's huge. I think people outside of the space tend to very easily like forget that like a lot of the times companies still quote unquote diversity hire, and they pick their one token hire, and then that's kind of it for them, and that's still a very prevalent thing for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I know you were talking about how like, oh wow, there's all these greats that I look up to, and I think in a lot of ways a lot of people are doing the same thing for you. I know a lot of like folks even in our chat who are very like engaged in like melanated in gaming, or you know, Black folks in gaming are definitely seeing very outspoken voices like you and seeing a role model in that. So I think you should be very proud of like all of that for sure. I think you are making a big impact on the community.
Thank you. I hope so.
Awesome. That's really cool to see.
Yeah.
One of my favorite talks, I think it was Migs in 2024, was a woman who was giving a talk on how like the more diverse your space is, the more interesting the stories are. She was from a narrative background, but she was like, if everyone's the same and writing the same thing, you're not going to get these different perspectives. So I'm very glad that it's getting better. I'm very glad that it's getting better. And 800 is huge. Oh my God.
I know. Yeah. Especially for like,
that's crazy.
Yeah. And like something we like bootstrapped, and like we didn't have like as much support as we would have loved. And so again, hats off to Aria Valencia. Fantastic. She worked her butt off, and it showed its fruits. Yeah.
That's awesome. And were you in attendance at the GDC event? How was that?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I was.
How'd that go?
Running around, doing everything I could, passing out badges, passing out food, whatever we needed to do. It was fantastic, and it's my favorite part of GDC. Like it's like the blackest day of GDC, and so I do love that. Like at so many of it's almost, it feels like a family reunion, because like it's the one day I can guarantee I'm going to see some of my friends. Like they're definitely going to stop by, and it's also the day I get to like talk to and connect with all those greats who I looked up to, and it's like I'm doing my magazines. This is crazy, like you know, like, and so it's awesome. Yeah,
that's awesome. That's so cool. And you said it was your third year this year.
Yeah, this is our third year. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. And do you personally have like a preference between like online events or offline events? Do you kind of lean one way or the other?
Man, I'm an ambivert. So like I love to be at home. Like that is like, I call it the cave. I love to be at the cave. I love my space. That said, I do like, I work from home and whatnot, and so like I even as the ambivert I am, and even when I lean introvert, like I need to go outside sometimes and see people.
You gotta
like
touch grass. Yep.
Yeah, gotta touch grass. Yeah, and so so I do like. I would say I prefer virtual events, but like I would say every few months I do try to get out to something and see a friend or spend time with family.
Yeah.
So yeah, prefer virtual, but like I need my physical events too.
I get that. I definitely do. I know a lot of like writer, coder, art specific, where it's like you could technically do everything at home. Sometimes forget that like, oh, I've been in this box of a space for 36 hours, no sunshine, you know?
Yeah. And that is rough. Yeah. And then I push myself outside. Like, I think when I remember when I was a kid, like I'd play games, and like my aunts and uncles, or even my mom would like say, okay, you've been on the game too long, force me outside, and I'd have to be outside for 30 minutes. And then I'd come right back in and play the game. But so I feel like after those 36 hours of being inside, I become my my elders and go, all right, like all right, guy, we got to get up and go outside. We got to touch grass. We got to stretch our legs.
You're like, I got to go out for 30 minutes.
Oh, right. Yeah, there we go. Right. Yeah. Right. And then no one's even forcing me now. It's crazy. Yeah.
No, but good for you. Good for you. Yeah, I totally get. We used to, same thing. It was an hour of Xbox.
Yeah.
And then you had to go see the sun for a little bit and then you could come back. But good. Yeah, that's great. And I imagine in LA it's probably decently easy to find game dev events.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah, and like it's very seasonal because like I think like during the summer, like there are lots of Juneteenth events that I got a chance to hit up, so those were awesome.
Cool, yeah.
I think like during like I feel like the summer and fall we have more events, but yeah, it's just more seasonal. Like during the winter, everybody's away, so like not so much, right? But
yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we get the same thing, but it's like nobody wants to be outside in the winter, so it's like we're not seeing each other. It's
right.
Out there. Yeah.
I can imagine. Yeah.
But yeah, so like you've done, like I said, a lot of stuff. You've kind of dipped your toes into everything. How did you like find yourself in games in general?
Yeah, it's I did not start off wanting to be a programmer. Like I feel like I had the most non-typical programmer backstory because so many programmers I know, they're like, oh, I was programming cash register applications at 8, or I grew up with my Apple II, and it's like that was not my experience. Like I played Carmen Sandiego as a kid on the computer, and that was like that was my computer experience. I think as I got older, like I started like make flyers and like work with PowerPoint and stuff. But I think originally, really, I didn't even know you could make games like as a career. Like so, at the end of high school, my mom she told me this like from middle school. She was like, so when you graduate, you're either going to go to college or you're going to go to work. Like that was the alternative. You have to figure out what you're going to do after you graduate. And so I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I thought for the longest time I was going to be a psychologist because I'm good at listening to people. Okay. I give decent advice. So sometimes I'm able to help people through their problems. And so I thought that's the lane I was going to go. And like, I think it's 4 months before graduation, I see an ad on TV and like this school says like, hey, we can teach you like how to make games. And I was like, you can do that? Like that's people make
3
games.
years into a psych degree.
Oh well, it's like my high school senior year, but yeah.
Oh wow. But, okay,
so I ran home. I told my mom like, I think I know what I want to do, and so we like took a tour of the campus. My grades were pretty good, so they gave me like a free computer science course, and it's like just try computer science, and like I didn't hate it. I didn't like love it, but I didn't hate it, and so
better than most programmers already.
True. Fair. Yeah. And then so I enrolled in a computer science curriculum, but I didn't really know what computer science was. All I heard like growing up was like, you have to be really good at math to be like a programmer. I was terrible at math growing up. So that was a ding against me. I wasn't, like, again, I didn't grow up with like coding or programming. And so I think originally I just wanted to be a designer. I wanted to do whatever it took to make games. But I enrolled in a computer science curriculum. And so I just kind of banged my head against the computers in the computer lab for a long time. And I stayed after class almost every single day that the professor would let us. And I just sat there trying to complete assignments and study. And so I did all that. I graduated with a degree in computer. Well, so I guess like an important point on all this, like I'm struggling to understand computer science. I'm in this computer science program, but I just want to make games. And so Mario Bros. 3, like the poster I had behind me, like that and Sonic 2, actually, those inspired the first visual game I made, which was called The Amazing Sketchbook. And so it's like this stick figure based platformer. I can't draw, so I drew stick figures and like basically made like these really rudimentary sprite sheets and stuff, and played the game and made the game. And like it wasn't even, I couldn't even like build it. Like it's not something you can play on your PC. All I could do is take a video of it because I didn't know how to make builds. But So, but to me, I'd made a game, and and so that, like, I guess to me, I've wanted to make games, and I feel like programming has always like just been my strongest tool to make games. But I think for me, the goal's always been to make games. And I guess you asked about finding myself. I think like, because like I've never had a fixated like I want to do this in games. I think I've like been able to do all sorts of things. Like I've worked on UI, I've worked on artificial intelligences, I've worked on gameplay, I've like done like third-party packages for like Google Analytics dashboards and stuff. I've like worked on all sorts of different projects. I worked on an animation project where we used Unity to make like Monster High music videos.
No way.
Yeah, so we like I think because I'd never cared what I made, like I just want to make stuff, and so I get to I don't know if that answers your question at all, but I think that's always been my core drive. Like I just want to make things.
I think that's a very noble way to look at it. I know some people get stuck in the nitty-gritty, so being able to like still know the like, oh, at the end of the day, I want to be making things. Is very important to to focus on. That's very interesting though. I haven't really heard of anybody who goes into comp sci without like some background of comp sci or interest or you know.
Yeah, that would be logical. That would have made sense. That would have been the rational thing. But that's not how my life worked, and it's worked out for me. But I wouldn't recommend that, even though it worked out for me.
Very fair. Is there maybe like a pathway or advice that you would recommend for people to take if they were interested in like, you know, game engineering and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I do think like, you know, we live in like the era where you can learn anything on YouTube. And so I do think like you can learn anything on YouTube. Game engines have so many like tools and templates and tutorial tools like to help you learn the engines. And so I feel like I just think like you should give yourself like a few months to like practice and like make small projects with a game engine. And I think that'll at least let you know if it's something you want to learn more professionally and like study and like grow in. Just because I think like that, I think that's kind of the core thing. Like I've definitely met junior engineers who like they get the programming degree and like they don't like to program. And I think like you can get by that way. I wouldn't recommend it. And I think that's kind of hard because it's like, oh yeah, I graduated with a degree in programming, but I'd really like to design games. Like it's like you probably would have been better off like maybe focusing on game design, and then like, you know, maybe have, you know, your programming skills can be really valuable. But
yeah, for sure.
I think it's just tough to spend so much of your life on a specific skill set and then like not want anything to do with it. Like I think it's just an unfortunate way. But like I think for some of us, that's how we figure out what we want to do.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good motivator if you're willing to like divert. But I do understand it can be difficult, especially partway through a degree, to like switch for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure. And for folks who are maybe like unsure if school is the way to go, would you still recommend like a formal kind of education for it?
I mean, I would, but you don't need that anymore. Like we live in a really interesting age. Like, you know, there's the like the AI agents and stuff, but even like going beyond that, like I think like Roblox, like there are Roblox creators who make way more money than I do. Like, and so like,
terrifying.
Yeah.
They're like 13. Yeah,
exactly. Right. And like they didn't go to college to do it. Right. And so like I think like you don't like I think the most important thing about creating anything is like, you know, if you're gonna paint, then like you need to paint. Like buy canvas, like you don't even have to get a marker and draw, right? Like it's like really like I think we put so much weight on like you need the specific tool to do creation, and like I think like the first games I made and stuff were like little drawings that were like not even like playable things. And I think it's really important to like you know, whether it's like you're learning a game engine, pick a piece of tech and just like practice with it, explore with it, see if there's other people who work with it who like can help share their knowledge and experience. Just like really getting your hands on it, because I think that's the difference between the people who do stuff professionally versus the people who do stuff as a hobby. Like it's like really just having that hands-on time with whatever your tool or your skill set is. So yeah. You don't have to go the classic route. Like there's so many platforms you can make games for. Discord, like I know they're having to push to have like Discord games, like right?
Yeah.
Like you can make games for so many platforms. There's so many environments. Just make something, shove it out there. Either get the hate or like Roblox. Like I get stressed hearing the Roblox creators talk, because they're very much like, yeah, so I like decided to make a thing. I push it out. I got like 1 million downloads, and then like I guess I just kind of like talk with the audience about like how I'm gonna keep building the game up, right? Like it's so lackadaisical, but it's like you're building an empire and you don't even know. Like it's
wild.
Right? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, it's strange how much of an upward like growth it's been in like third-party game design.
Yeah.
I think like back when I was younger, it was very like Minecraft heavy. But I think like Roblox has taken it a step further for sure in terms of like it's essentially a game engine at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, absolutely. Yeah. And in the comments, Dominus makes a good point. Like, I think it's important to figure out what kind of studios you want to work at. Like, if you just wanted to work on Roblox games or Discord games, like, you don't need a degree to do that. But if you want to, like, if your aspirations are AAA studios, right, or if you did want to work at a studio like Alchemy, I think having a computer science degree helps.
That is fair. Some of I know CompSci is like a little bit more traditional in that sense of like we want a bachelor's or a college degree equivalent. But very interesting. Okay, and what about like maybe juniors who are now like graduating and entering the scene? Do you have any advice for them?
I do like lots of portfolio reviews and like resume reviews with juniors. Nice. And like the number one issue they run into is like they don't practice talking about their craft. And like there is a way I expect you to talk about building things as a programmer. And like it's not so much you need to know like all the perfect buzzwords and stuff, but if I ask you how you built a system and you kind of like shrug and like hand wave it, I can't trust you. That's just what it is. Like, and it really is like, for programmers, soft skills are like a big conversation point, because like a programmer that can communicate well is like worth their weight in gold. A programmer who can't communicate, like it would suck to be really good at coding and not be able to tell people what you're doing. And I've worked with people like that, and it's really hard to work with people like that. And so learning just to communicate what you're doing, what your goals are, ask questions about what other people are hoping for when like they're expecting or asking for a future, like that type of stuff is super important. That, and then like when it comes to portfolios, I actually just saw somebody asked a question on Reddit. Like they're like, hey, if you want to work at a game studio, how complicated do the games you build need to be?
True. Yeah.
And that's actually a horrible way to look at it, because that's not how I look at portfolios at all. Like and I think a lot of junior programmers put this weird pressure on themselves that they need to become like super game designer, build Stardew Valley by themselves in 2 weeks. That is not what I expect from a junior programmer. I would like a junior programmer, if you spend a month and said, I want to make a really simple demo of like trying to replicate the Spider-Man web sling mechanics, I would want you to do that specifically and just spend that time. And it doesn't have to be a complete game. It just has to be like your exploration of a small game mechanic or building a small system. And like, I think to me, like I grew up in a sports family. And so to me, like reps are how you get better at anything. Like just keep on doing something over and over and over again. And then eventually it's second nature. And so, I definitely think like for a lot of junior programmers, I just recommend you do work on lots of small projects, and highlight a mechanic, give yourself a deadline, and then see how far you get, and then add that as a portfolio piece, and just keep doing that. And so, yeah, just make stuff. I guess at the end of the day, I think that's how you get a job in the industry, period. You have to make stuff and be able to show the stuff that you made, be able to talk about it competently. No one expects you to be perfect, because I have yet to meet a perfect game developer. I promise you.
Yeah.
But like, I do expect you to be able to explain what you're doing, why you did it, how you did it, how you would do it in the future if you had to change something. Yeah.
I imagine that like being able to explain yourself to like separates you a lot from like vibe coding like applicants. Like I know we had that problem in art where it's like people couldn't explain their designs. So I imagine it's good to be able to break your stuff down pretty heavily.
100%. Yeah. Because I think that's where I can actually understand like how you approach work and how you problem solve. Like it's really important to understand like how you got from point A to point B, because like that's a process. And I think like when you can't communicate that, the game industry is so competitive, especially right now. Like when I applied to my first job, I was like one of 300 applicants. And like, that was at a small no-name studio. Like I think I've heard for Activision, they probably get at least 1,000 resumes a day for a role, right?
Oh,
like,
yeah, and it's crazy, right?
So it's just like, and you need to understand that like the vast majority of those people are unqualified. They can't explain what they're doing as far as building systems, because they don't know how to build systems. But if you can't explain how to build systems, you almost put yourself in the same bucket as the people who don't know anything. And so that's why it's just really important to practice, like, and that's like programmer or any skill set, learning how to communicate your skill set, your approach. Like it's a really valuable skill to develop.
That's a really good point, eh? That like you're like by like underselling yourself or like not being able to like describe your things, like you immediately like get demoted a peg almost just because of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Would you say there's like a couple points maybe that like right away you'd be like, you should be able to explain this. This is really important for blank.
Good question. It's not so much I expect you to know something specific, but if you, especially like when it comes to portfolio pieces, I think when it comes to the portfolio reviews where I pick on, and like it's not intentionally to pick on, but I think where I feel like I expose a lot of the people I interview is like, if I ask you how you made something that's on your portfolio and you go, actually, like maybe the person I worked with, like they worked on that and I didn't like that. To me, like that's a red flag. And like in a practice interview, I don't care that much, right? But like that's gonna come across if we're talking about giving you a job and I'm like, hey, how'd you build this? And you're like, you might, one could, if one were to, like that kind of dancing around the answer, like that immediately makes me like distrust you, again, it brings you down, your value down in the interview. So like just being able to speak clearly to, specific structures you use, specific algorithms or like data structures, like if you made something with arrays or lists, like being able to specify that. Why did you use floats? Did you use integer values? Like these are like data type things in programming. Being able to explain like why you made a certain field public versus one private. Do you know what a singleton is? Like that, and some of this is like, I guess, like it's more being able to specifically speak to like certain structures and aspects of code that you implemented and utilized when you were building a system.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I guess that makes sense to see like who's cobbled something together versus who knows their work maybe a little bit more thoroughly, for sure.
Exactly.
That's very, very interesting. And you've kind of already like touched on like common pitfalls of like juniors, and like you said, you've taken a look at a lot of stuff. Is there anything else that you would say is like, oh, this always happens with juniors, you gotta fix this?
Not just juniors, I think. So this is like singed into my memory. I remember at my first game studio, my producer, he was like a rock star to me. He worked on like the original Tony Hawk's games. He worked on Spider-Man 2 for the PS2, like all games I grew up on. Like, so it was awesome. He worked on like Modern Warfare, like the original, like all that stuff. But I remember he got a resume and he looked at it and he walked out to like our bullpen, like our dev team's area basically. And he was like, so I've been working on games for 20 years and my resume is 1 page long. If your resume is longer than mine, then I'm tossing it out. So like immediately to get disqualified, a resume has more than 1 page. And like, I think that sounds harsh, right? But I think the point, what he was trying to make was like, you should be able to condense your relevant experience to 1 page. Like, and reality is like, when we get resumes, it's in the middle of a work day. We're all busy. Like, I'm not going to go through your 3-page resume. Like, it's not going to happen. And so like I would say right off the bat, make sure your resume is 1 page, highlight the most recent projects you worked on or the most relevant ones, the one that you're most proud of. If you did any internships or worked at any studios, definitely include that. If there's like, I think I would, it's hard when it comes to like irrelevant jobs, like non-game jobs. Like if you have a tech job, I would still include it on there. When it comes to non-game jobs, I think it can be I wouldn't include them for the most part. And I like, it's not because like that job experience doesn't work. Cause like the amount of game developers I know who've worked at restaurants or in real retail is immense. Like, and so, but I think like that stuff, like if you've been working a day job, I think people understand that, but I think like that's not the kind of thing I want to talk about you while assessing you for a game studio.
Yes. Yeah. That's fair. Like, yeah, like those soft skills will transfer for sure from like, again, like a lot of folks in like food services, for example, are like really good with like de-escalating things because they're so used to it. Yeah. But I'm sure like that also happens at more tech-centered jobs if you have that for sure. Yeah. Okay, very cool. I didn't know the 1 resume thing. I've always done like 1 to 2 pages myself, but I imagine you can squeeze it down into the smaller the better almost kind of thing, you know?
Yeah. And like, it's not like a concrete rule. Not every producer is going to throw out your resumes, but I will say ex-Activision 20-year-old or senior dude, he was very, this isn't worth my time. Right. So I feel like he's probably not the only one who thinks that way either. So,
yeah, we used to get warned, like, when I've seen like videos and stuff in the past from like concept artists, they're like, oh yeah, we'll take 20 seconds to look through your page and then we're moving on to the next because we get so much, right? So it's like, how do you stand out that quickly? Do you have anything that you would say like, this stands out to me on a resume as a great thing?
Good question. I really like, if you can, like, I really focus in on the bullet points. So if like you say, hey, I worked on a platformer, I built a extendable, a scalable power-up system that covered like 12 different power-ups, or I had like a character selection menu and I built the menu, like the animation, I implemented the animations of the characters when they were selected, or I implemented the analytics that tracked the data and we had over 1 million users, like those kind of bullet points. I think those indicate to me like, hey, I worked on a project, I brought it value this way, and these are like the systems or the implementations that I was personally responsible for. And so like, and the more clean you can describe that, like it is, I do think it should be very direct. Like, this is what I did, and this is like the tool I used to do it. Like, and to me, that speaks volumes, because like that's how I'm going to expect you to talk. Like, if we're in the middle of like a busy situation, or like even if we're working with a tool, like if we have a billion tasks to do, then if you need my help, then I'm going to need you to be that direct, right? Like, this is what I need help with. This is where I'm stumbling. This is where I don't visualize the system. Like, how do we want to approach this? I haven't seen an example of like this before. And so just being really direct and being able to highlight your value in like as few sentences as possible. So just make sure those bullet points are really clear and thorough. That's all.
I mean, it's an art of its own. I'm sure you know from like your time in university, like there's such a distinct difference between somebody who knows how to teach and somebody who doesn't know how to teach, kind of thing. I imagine that's very similar in programming.
Yeah, very true. Very, very true.
If you're okay with it, we are also going to jump into some questions because I know we actually did get several, so I don't want to miss anybody's. If you're all good to answer some live questions, we're going to start with somebody who also says, thanks again for taking a look at their resume portfolio, Bronze Knight here. Says, what's a good possible starter project to start for people interested in VR stuff?
Oh man, for VR stuff, I'd probably start with like, the simplest thing is like what I did for my VR game was like I dropped a table in a scene, put a collider on it, and then just had like different grabbable objects on the table that I could pick up and like toss. And like I was making a shooter, so I made it so like, oh, can I detect that I'm pulling a trigger and like make a projectile fly? But like really just having like a simple table with like grabbable objects that you can grab and like toss around a virtual room. That's where I'd suggest you start, because I think just understanding even how to set up a space, how to pick up an object, how to like make the hands work, and just to me, that's like the fundamental building blocks of VR experience. I think like you can go a million different ways from there, but like if you can't like figure out how to like make an environment that you can move around and how to grab stuff, then like it probably shouldn't be a VR game. Like that's
very fair. Yeah. You got to start somewhere, right? You have to start with the basics for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. And somebody also said, I believe it was Dominus, is asking like they heard that VR as a whole maybe isn't in the best space right now. It's going through a bit of a bad time. What have you seen personally?
Yeah, so that is both valid and untrue. Like it's straight, like as far as like the overall VR market, it is like it has contracted. Like it's less possible than it has been the past few years. But what we're seeing at our studio, and like Gorilla Tag's like one of our competitors. I went to VidCon and like they had like a small Gorilla Tag event, and like there are kids all over the place, like with VR headsets, and like they were waiting in huge lines to like get into this little play space. But like, so what we see is like younger kids love VR, like, and for our games are focused on kids, like, and so like younger players love VR. And what I think is going to happen is like, we had like, and to me, it feels a lot like the AI agent stuff. Like the conversation points for it are very investor focused. I feel like with VR that happened as well. Like, you know, Beat Saber came out and Job Simulator, which Alchemy Labs came out, and like they were really popular. And then all of a sudden the conversation was like, well, why do video games when we could do the metaverse? And all of a sudden, all of a sudden these investors pour $1 billion expecting like the next phase of like virtual like real estate and all this like ridiculous stuff that was never realistic in the first place. All of that. And they overinvested, like that's the issue. And then like they're like, oh, you know what? Maybe we won't make $50 billion or like 50 trillion gazillion dollars on this like metaverse thing. Maybe that was unrealistic. And so like the investment like has like dwindled. And so like that means like less studios have like been in the space. And so it has been a really hard time. Like I know lots of people who work in VR who've like been laid off, unfortunately. Like and so it has been a tough time. But like statistically, like our game is getting at least 20,000 players a month. Like and that's like you get mostly kid players. Gorilla Tag Gorilla Tag is way more. Like Gorilla Tag's like the popular VR game. And so like, yeah, again, what we're saying is like younger audiences are still very much into VR. VR games are still coming out. So there is definitely a VR audience. It's just not as big as it was. And so like, I expect like once the kids of today are older, they'll want VR games again. And so what I'm hoping is like, there'll be like a VR renaissance. And so that's what I hope. Yeah.
I mean, it comes with any specialized tool, right? Like it becomes harder to access just because the software or the hardware rather is like, you have to get a separate piece of hardware. That's all automatically going to, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I know it's been like used a lot in like medical as well. Like I have some friends in that space where like, oh, it's being used for therapy, it's being used for physical therapy. Like there is like a big overlap for that.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
You know.
Yeah. There's so many and there's so many we didn't talk about like serious games or like VR simulation projects because I've worked on several of those too. But like there's so many there's like flight simulators to there's just so many applications for VR that I've seen. Like I've seen years ago they were like using VR to rehabilitate prisoners who'd like been in prison for a long time. There's so many opportunities like just for like at the simulation stuff. But I do think like VR also like I think there's more that we could do in the VR space. And so
For sure. I think you're right. I think like once the kids of now grow up to be like more active in the workforce, like that space has such a like potential to grow kind of thing.
Yeah,
for sure. It's Roblox VR, but
right.
But yeah, no, there is, and there's like a lot of like adjacent. I know, like maybe not games directly, but like government simulators or stuff like that you can definitely work on. For sure. Kind of on the subject of like nomenclature of things, somebody does ask what the difference between a technical system designer and a gameplay designer or engineer is.
Yeah, so like I think like I guess a general rule of thumb is like programming or engineering is more implementation. So like I write code to make a system possible. Design in general is like the planning, the structuring, the designing, the like writing diagrams and drawings and like planning out how a system should work. And so like I think I like to say like they pay me to code. Like they don't pay me to design. Like can I design a game? Sure. It's going to be kind of basic. Like that's I'm just not a great designer. But like my friends who like do design, who are expert designers, they like have like, Excel sheets and like full GDDs and like really thoroughly like expressed like design visualizations for how the game should work, how the economy should work, what kind of moves and skill sets the character should have, like all sorts of like data on like what is our actual game, what can our player do, and like so that's like the general rule of thumb, like design versus engineering. And then I would say for technical designers, they're kind of like the sweet spot. Like we just had an engineer at my job, 𝗕𝗥𝗘𝗦𝗧𝗢 Coleman, like shout out to Valencia. She just got promoted to a technical designer, and she like works on, she like knows how to code, like she got hired as an engineer, but she also does a lot of the work to like help create voiceover or create the voiceover systems for our game. And so and like does a lot of the work for the implementation and stuff, like so like and in that way designers tend to work a lot more with prefabs or setting up the settings on things, or kind of massaging like the actual experience and the numbers that like how things work. And so designers do a lot more of the planning and like prefab work. Programmers, I live in code land a lot more and like build out the systems, and like we work a lot together, like we need each other, but unless like you can do it all, but yeah, that's the big difference. And again, technical designers
so you're like, a little more like hands-on, like this is my
and sometimes technical designer roles change a lot between companies. Like for example, like Rockstar or Skyrim, or like Bethesda, I mean, like, Quest designers, I would say those are more technical designers, because like they'll get in, they might work with like Lua and do some scripting and stuff. They might set up scenarios for like how a mission works, and like create the different beats and waypoints within an environment. And so, it's like, so I would say that Quest designers are a form of technical designer. But it's kind of tough because every studio, like sometimes those definitions fluctuate a little bit.
I remember one of our like previous like big interviews was a technical artist, and they were explaining how like the term technical blank, in their case technical artist, is still kind of new. So it may not have even existed. It may have been a completely different name back then. So places are still trying to like define it to their own standards. So like what's a technical engineer now may have just been a gameplay engineer, 10 years ago kind of thing, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting. Very interesting. I don't know how any of it works. So I'm just like, yeah, you guys do the code stuff and
Yeah, and you make our games pretty and people care. So like
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You draw the pretty pictures. And we do have a little bit more of a lighter question. What are your thoughts on the Steam frame?
I'm excited for it, right? Like I think all of this whole VR thing started off because like somebody like some college kids got together and made like the DK1 prototype and like kickstarted it, and I forgot how much it was. Like it was over $1 million. I want to say it was $10 million, like that they kickstarted for like the original VR headset. Yeah, and like eventually it becomes like Oculus, then Oculus works hand in hand with Steam for a lot of that stuff. Like eventually, like we get the Vive, and like that was like my big introduction to like real VR. I'll call it like was like the HTC Vive and the Oculus Rift. But I'm really excited. I think like people show up for like the Steam devices. I also think like the PC Steam market has like lacked, like hasn't had a lot of love in a long time. Like it's all been kind of like tetherless, like wireless headsets, like the Quest, which I love, but also like if you want a premium VR experience, like it's just not as it's hard to do that anymore, like unless you're using a years old headset. So yeah, I'm really excited for it. I hope they announce like the next Half-Life Alyx or whatever, and like then it's really gonna blow up. But yeah, I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see how like VR I feel like every so often you get a VR game that like really pushes the boundary of VR, and it kind of sets that new precedence for everybody. And I'm interested to see what that next one is for sure.
Me too. Yeah. I think Beat Saber and like I would say Job Simulator were like two of the
Job
big
Simulator
ones that
was
I
a huge one. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Very exciting. We do have one more that's a little bit technical, if you don't mind.
Let's do it.
One of the particularities with VR development is that what you see inside the engine, even when transmitting the signal to the headset, might not be the same when you build an APK and directly install it on the headset. Do you have an anecdote about this?
I am so sorry. I saw a question in chat and had to send her a link to my friend Bryson. But okay, all right. Can you repeat the question?
That's okay. Yeah. I'll throw it to the like chat as well for anybody who's like trying to like keep up, because I also don't understand this. One of the particularities with VR development is that what you see inside the engine, even when transmitting the signal to the headset, might not be the same when you build an APK and then directly install it onto the headset. Like, what's your anecdote on this?
Yeah, it is hard. Yeah, that's one of those things that's really hard. Like scene setup in VR is really tricky, and it's really important because like the most important thing when you're setting up a VR environment for the first time is knowing where your player is going to load in, because like usually every VR game, kind of the way it works is like pick a place where you want the experience to start. And so like the hope is like the user goes to a point in their room that's clear and like a place that they can freely move. And if they don't do that right, then like they can like technically start the VR scene and then like maybe the room shifts and like they might be clipping like half the room, and then like half of their room is like offset to like and like so knowing how to center your room, knowing like making sure your player knows how to like reset the room and like bring the room back to like an origin point that they can like comfortably move around, like that's really important. And then like I think that's less of a problem now, but with earlier VR headsets, that was often a problem. Like how do I tell this thing like where to establish, like how do I connect like where the user is now should be the center of the virtual room that I'm setting around him, you know?
Okay, yeah. I didn't like it. It's stuff like that, right? You don't consider until you're actually like making it, I imagine, because when you're playing it, it's just like, oh, I'm here.
Yeah, exactly, right. And that's how it should be. Yeah, I think.
I mean, it means you're doing it right, right?
Right, yeah. My personal axe to grind is like when I hear like game devs get upset with like fans for like not knowing how games work, and it's like they just need to like hang out. Like that's our job is to make it work, right? Like that's like I don't expect the fan to know as much about games as I do. Like that's not why they gave us our money. They gave us their money so that they could be entertained. So anyway,
it's true, right? Like if you're doing a good job, especially I feel like in coding, you shouldn't notice anything.
Exactly.
Like you're doing a good job when nobody's complaining about an issue, kind of thing.
100%.
Definitely the invisible soldiers to the game dev world, for real.
Yeah, we do what we can. Yeah.
Yeah, and we will pick this last question just because it leads off into our thank you very easily. Are you active on any socials?
Man, probably LinkedIn's the most one I'm the most active on. Okay. So yeah. So yeah, if you just like look up my name, Jonathan Jennings, on LinkedIn, that's probably where you're most likely to find me. Yeah, and I guess like before we like close, like Black and Gaming, we're hosting a Big Bite Game Jam event in like 2 weeks. So please, if you'd like to participate in a game jam, we have like over $1,000 in our prize pool. So we do offer prizes to the games that win. We actually don't have a lot of applicants right now, so more opportunity for you if you participate, right? Yeah. So, but yeah, we also like to like give interviews to highlight the winning games, and I think we're talking about showcasing them at like an event GDC. So it's just an opportunity, and you don't have to be Black to participate. Like game jams open to everybody. So just want to
yeah. For those who like don't have the chat up, Stacey is plugging everything into the chat. We are massive game jam fans over here, just like fun wise, but also like you said, like portfolio wise, getting your name out there, getting your voice out there. So if you haven't, folks, we do recommend it. It's a hard push. It's how I got a lot of the experience. It's how a lot of people started in games before they were committing to a full-time project. And like when there's a prize, it's always nice because you can win a prize,
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So we do have the link there. Please check it out. We will be posting about it again, I'm sure. But definitely check it out. And check Jonathan out on LinkedIn as well, of course. Do you still do portfolio reviews and stuff, or are you kind of stepping back from that right now?
I do, yeah. If you hit me up and just like, I guess introduce yourself. Like, like if you just hit me up out of nowhere, hey, want to give me a portfolio review? Like, that's a little impersonal. But if you'd like to introduce yourself and then you'd like to talk about like eventually having a portfolio review, I'd love to help. It's like important for me to give back. So where I can.
That's very kind of you. Yeah. And we do, of course, have links as well to Black and Gaming and just that in general. That's a fantastic program. They have a Discord as well that we had a little bit further up. They'll have it on their website. Great way to meet people who are in the space, especially if you are like even curious and wanting to learn more about the diversity in your games. We definitely recommend it. So please give them a shout. But yeah, thank you so much for being here tonight, Jonathan. It's really cool to see like not just such an optimistic person in games. Like I can tell that you just have such a passion for it, but like truly like you're what I would envision when I would think like, oh, who should be a role model for the industry? Like I'm like, it's somebody with these characteristics. And I think you embody that incredibly well.
Well, thank you so much. That's extremely kind of you to say.
Yeah, thank you again. I know a lot of folks are huge fans, so they are thanking you for being here. And I know a lot of people will be viewing this afterwards, which we do have our VOD up and then our YouTube as well for those who maybe couldn't make the whole thing. And show Jonathan some love on all of his projects and all of the stuff coming out of Alchemy Labs.
Yeah, thank you all. Thank you for spending time with us.
Yeah, thank you so much. Have a great evening or morning or wherever everyone is. But for, I think, John and I, it's going to be evening.
Yes,
But
very much.
take care, everybody. Hopefully it's not too hot where you are.
Yeah, bye.
See ya.